Once upon a time, in a castle filled with a brilliant golden light, there was a little princess named Snow White. She has skin as white as winter snow, hair as black as ebony, and eyes as sparkling as morning dew. She loves nature, loves birds and rabbits. Every morning, she would sing loudly in the flower garden, and the little birds would chirp and fly around.
Good morning, little butterfly. The grass is so green today.
But not everyone loves Snow White. The queen, her stepmother who has a beautiful appearance but a cold heart, is always jealous of her every bit.
Good morning, little bird. Did you sleep well?
Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest of them all? You, my queen, are fair. It's true, ... but Snow White is fairer than you.
And one day, when the magic mirror replied that Snow White is the fairest of them all, her heart broke with jealousy. The queen plotted to harm Snow White.
You cannot be as beautiful as me.
Knowing that, the little princess had to run away into the dark forest, where owls hooted through the mist. She ran and ran, until she collapsed among the old trees.
I will give you this apple.
But no one can hide the light forever. Snow White's beauty grew more and more radiant, and the jealous look in the queen's eyes grew deeper and deeper. I often stand in front of a magic mirror and ask myself the same question every day. Queen sternly.
Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who is the most beautiful in the world?
The mirror replied in a voice as resonant as the wind in the deep forest. Dear queen, the most beautiful was you. But now, it's Snow White. Jealousy flared up like a fire. The queen decided to get rid of Snow White. One day, the queen sent a huntsman to take Snow White into the forest and kill her. But when he saw the princess's innocent eyes, the hunter shed tears and let her go. Hunter shivering slightly.
Run away, stupid, run far away. I can't do evil with a heart as pure as yours.
And so, Snow White ran away into the dark forest. The rustling of leaves like the whisper of the old forest. The tree shadows swayed like black arms. She ran until she was exhausted. As the sun sets, a small house appears among the green foliage. Snow White determined to stand up and move on. Go on and on, finally see light appear in the distance. The house was only half her height. Everything was tiny, from the tables and chairs, bowls and chopsticks to bed. Snow White thought to herself that this must be the home of the dwarves. Everything looks so lovely.
They live small, but it's neat and cozy. I'll help clean up a little to thank them for letting me stay.
And then, after cleaning up and cooking a delicious dinner, she went to the small bed. Wild animals also help her clean the house. They were happy to do it and giggled. Then she started baking and preparing dinner for the dwarfs, and fixed the dwarfs' costumes like new. Snow White seems to like it here. The night was cold. The room became warmer after being taken care of by Snow White. Fire flickering. Snow White flower arrangement home decoration. Brown Squirrel also helped Snow White clean the house. The sky gradually turned dark. The house was lit up. It's time for the 7 dwarfs to get ready to go home from work. The dwarfs work very hard in the deep forest. Everyone's face is radiant and lovely. At night, the 7 dwarfs came home and were very surprised. When I see this place is lit. My. Happy bright eyes.
Heart, who is cleaning our house?
Grumpy pretending to be serious.
Or there's a goblin in the house.
But then when they saw the princess, all 7 little hearts melted. Since then, the house is always clean and full of laughter. Since Snow White, meals have improved. Clean and shiny house. The table was filled with delicious dishes cooked by Snow White. Snow White introduces herself. The dwarves also introduce themselves in a very cute way. Dinner full of laughter, happy dancing. When he knew Snow White was still alive, the queen was so angry that she turned herself into an old witch, holding a blood-red apple, beautiful on the outside, poisonous on the inside. Witch husky voice.
One bite, little girl, and all your dreams will be gone ... forever.
She walked through the forest with a curved stick, an apple in her hand. The birds saw her face full of worry. In the distance, the witch saw the house of the Seven Dwarfs, where Snow White was staying. The witch came and knocked on the door. Snow White thought it was the Seven Dwarfs, so she opened the door. Witch in sweet voice.
Beautiful girl Tilda Grandma has some delicious red apples here. Just one bite, and you will stay young forever.
Looking at the red apple, Snow White quickly took it in her hand. Innocent and kind, Snow White took a bite. Suddenly the apple slowly flew up, and now she knew the apple was poisonous. Crack! The apple broke, and she fell. The poison had already seeped into her body, so Snow White lay kissing under the bed. The witch in the distance heard the news that Snow White had been poisoned and was very happy. At the same time, the wild animals heard the news and quickly informed the dwarves to return. When she got home, Snow White was lying unconscious on the bed. The dwarfs were working deep in the forest. Hearing the news, everyone was worried. Run home! Birds and wild animals guide the dwarfs to go faster. When the dwarves got home, they were crying, in pain and helpless. The girl they loved now lay motionless, like a sleeping angel. Doc sobbing.
She is no longer breathing.
The Seven Dwarfs quickly took her to the hospital to check her heartbeat. The results do not seem very promising.
I swear to take revenge on the witch.
The witches sat next to Snow White. Snow White's 5 hands. The dwarfs take turns taking care of Snow White. The dwarfs all hope she recovers and returns to normal. They take good care. But in the midst of that, the light of dawn shone. At the same time, a prince suddenly appeared in the forest. Riding a white horse, handsome face, walking towards the house of the Seven Dwarfs. The little birds quickly led the prince to save Snow White. When the prince appeared, he saw her lying motionless on the bed. His heart trembled when he saw Snow White was so quiet as if in a dream. He knelt down, kissed her forehead lightly, and whispered,
True love always awakens the most beautiful things.
And the miracle happened. Snow White opened her eyes and whispered, Snow White smiling.
Who are you, that my heart recognizes before my eyes?
Snow White burst into tears. Everyone celebrated when Snow White woke up. Snow White and the prince's wedding was held grandly. Everyone cheered and congratulated the bride and groom. Snow White and the prince kiss after their vows. Snow White and the prince dance in the circle. The animals and dwarfs play music around happily. And then, they lived happily ever after.